Welcome back to the Shady Corner Lewdcast. I'm Shades, and today we're going to be talking with Taboo, working on Almastriga, a side-scrolling Metrovania sexy game with some amazing fucking art. The dude's fucking talented. How's it going tonight, my friend?
Hey Shades, it's going well. It's going well. I was looking forward for this call. Honestly, it's I didn't want to screw up my schedule, so I've been a good boy on that matter, not oversleeping or anything. So yeah, I'm hype and very happy to be here.
Well, I'm very happy to have you here, considering that your game is one of the games that I just love the amount of love that's been put into every single piece of it. It's amazing.
Thank you.
So to kind of kick everything off and to tell the viewers that are listening, tell them about Almastriga.
Well, it's nothing new, honestly. It's we're not trying to reinvent the wheel or anything like that. It's just a project that we're doing for fun. We're mixing several things that we love from other video games, mainly, quote unquote, Metrovanias, but we want to add some other mechanics from some other games to, make it a little bit fresh. But yeah, I mean, it's just we want to make it a game, in a sense that it's not a typical adult game where you just have sex for the sake of it. We want to make it a game that it's good on its own right, that even if you don't have or you don't see the porn in it, it's still fun to play.
Of course. Have you done any previous games before in the industry or outside of the lewd industry?
Not personally, no. I do have a background on filmmaking. I used to work at a film studio way back in the day. But the coder, the lead coder, Zudi, he has experience in AAA games. He published a couple, or rather, he worked on a couple games. So he's the only one with the quote unquote real experience. As for me, I don't have any published titles in or outside the adult industry.
So what made you want to kind of get into doing adult games? I'm assuming you were doing something else adult related before you started going into lewd games?
Well, would you like the long and meaningful explanation or the quick one?
Well, long and meaningful. Look, that's what it's all about. I want to find out the real you. So give me the long and meaningful.
Well, long and meaningful. Okay. It's probably nothing anybody hasn't listened to yet, because there are a couple titles outside already that have the same kind of philosophical value. Right. And the long and meaningful explanation is that we want to make a video game that can include both. Before I go any deeper, I just want to say right out of the bat, this is the way we see things. It's by no means the right or any kind of hatred or anything. With that said, to me, it's it's very, very weird that we have tons of games, either AAA or adult, that are very violent. You can name any game in AAA industry, Borderlands, Gears of War, whatever. And it's always about violence. Not that there's anything wrong with that. It's fun. I mean, I play those games and I always have a lot of fun. But to me, it's always been very, very weird that violence in stream media, it's okay, but sex it's not. And what bugs me the most is that how can violence be good but sex be bad? Because in the end, every single soul in this planet is a product of that. So to me, sex, it's way more natural than killing. So we want to make that statement. Then we can have both. I mean, it's a fictional world. It's fictional stories. It's just for fun. It's just make believe. right? We're not going to say to people, go do this. We trust people. We believe in the people that they are smart enough to differentiate what's real and what's just make believe and for fun.
With the game, Almastriga, and obviously, how long have you been working on the game now?
We have been working on this project a little bit over a year. About a year and 5-6 months.
What would you say in terms of working on this game? What have you learnt, and what would you say would be the hardest and the easiest thing in terms of doing game design or game development?
What I've learned, it's mad props to the people that can do video games like they're nothing and just make it look like super easy. It's been a huge struggle. I had to learn. Well, thankfully, we have our lead coder that has AAA experience, so he's being a great help. He's been pretty much teaching me how he needs all the assets and whatnot. Because at first I thought, it's paint this and send it away, and it's not that easy. It's more like making a puzzle. I have to make the little puzzle pieces, like individual pieces, so the coders can assemble it. I'm not making a full painting. I'm just making little pieces that connect together so we can build everything. I've been learning a lot about production because, again, I have no experience on video games. I have experience with filmmaking, which is something completely different. So it's something very new. I guess I learn fast. Every time I learn something, I think I'm not gonna say master it, but I get used to it fairly quickly, and then it just becomes like somewhat easy to make.
You're the not only are you the project lead, but and like you've just discussed, you do the art for the game, and I gotta say that honestly, I love watching your streams. I love watching you create the art and the animation. It's like watching a fucking painting literally get like it's like watching an actual artist, except there's tits involved. And to me, it's something special about it that I love. And what I wanted to ask particularly is, what got you started into the art and the drawing process? Like, how did you go to school for it, or how did you get about?
It was a very weird thing that happened because I think it was like eight or so years ago. I was still working in this film studio, and I was just an intern. But I was doing the best I can, and the director was happy with it, and my coworkers were happy with my work and whatnot. However, it was very tough. I made like $300 a month, and that was killing me. Like it was not a lot to make a living, let alone paying the rent and services and food. So I was struggling. Then I knew about a website called For Affinity, and I decided to try my luck. So I started taking commissions there. And to my surprise, I was able to make $300 in 1 week. So I was like, there's something wrong here. Either these people have a lot of money and they don't mind spending it on me, or my boss is playing me for a fool. So I just kept doing commissions and got to the point that I was making a lot more money. I was able to make a living out of commissions alone. Eventually going to work was a waste of time because it was a proper job, 8 hours a day, 5 days a week for very little pay. And then I told him, you know what, I went out. I found another way of living, and it's proving to be much better than what you can do for me. And that's how I got started with porn, thanks to the furry community. Eventually, I got better style-wise, and I got faster. And some guys in that community noticed me and offered me a job. And sexy fur. I don't know if you guys have heard about that. I was working on that website for a few months, and it was always very fun because I met a lot of really cool artists in that website. Furry really wasn't for me because it's kind of like a double-edged sword. You can find really, really cool and fun designs, but you can find very odd, to say the least, designs. I want something a little bit more tame, more casual, more mainstream, so to speak. Another guy contacted me and asked me, "Yo, you got a website?" I said, "No, I mean, I work for other websites, but I don't have a website of my own." And that's how I got my first website, like 100% just my art. And the Taboolicious name came shortly after that because I started with just painting angels and demons, but with no story or anything, just pinups. For a couple of months, I was just working on story or characters, outside the internet, just keeping it very close to me, not letting anyone know. And then I present the project to the webmaster at that time, and he said, like, "Yo, go with this. We can rebrand the website, do whatever you want, and just hope with this comics and characters." And that's how Taboolicious was born. I have been very familiar with my characters since then.
So the team itself on the game at the moment, because there's 4 of you, correct?
The core team, yeah, that's 3 programmers and myself.
Are you all in close proximity, or do you work online?
Everything is online.
Yep.
The programmers, all 3 programmers and myself, are Mexicans.
Mm-hmm.
So that's convenient because of schedules. So we live in the same time zone, so that's always helpful. But we live in separate states, so it's always online. Same goes with the other crew members that are spread all over the globe.
The game itself, and again, I know it sounds like I'm literally jerking you off, but the game itself already looks amazing considering that it's in early alpha.
Thank you.
Where do you see getting Almastriga? Like, where would you like to take it, and when do you think you'll have a good idea when the next phase of it will be?
We're reaching our phases like every 2 or 3 months, give or take, depending on bugs and errors and whatnot. But I think we're doing fairly fast.
Are you planning to do something after doing Almastriga, or is this kind of really the main thought in your mind at the moment?
We've been just there are no plans for another video game after this, but we always writing down ideas for things that we'd like to add that didn't make it into Almastriga, because we don't want to make it too complicated for us, because if we do, it's going to take a very long time to finish. So we're keeping it as simple as we can, and any other ideas that we get, we just write those down, and we have kind of like a little pool of ideas and quote unquote projects, but by no means they're gonna things that we're gonna do after Almastriga. It's just this will be very cool to have as a visual novel, or maybe a beat 'em up, or whatever. Whenever we get a really cool idea, we're like, oh, this will look really cool on a visual novel or whatever.
Obviously, game development and art is really kind of your bread and butter at the moment. But what do you do besides doing game development? What do you do in your off time when you want to feel like a human for a while?
I draw more. I paint more. I think that's the beauty of doing what I do, and I feel I can speak for any other artist that love, or any person in general that loves what they do in their daily life for a life. It doesn't feel like work at all. I always work at least for 8 hours. Sometimes I go up to 16 hours a day. and I don't feel tired or anything. If anything, I feel kind of bummed and angry because I have to go to sleep when I could be, still painting and drawing and doing that. It's really not that hard for me to work for very long hours.
That's actually quite inspirational to hear that.
Yeah, I mean, just find something that you love, and you'll never have to work for the rest of your life. If you can find that, you're gonna be a very, very lucky person. Of course, there's times when, well, we work by monthly tasks. So sometimes I'll finish my task sooner than expected, and after that, I pretty much have to wait for the coders to implement that, or wait for the coders to tell me, look, we need this, or we need to fix that. But during that time where I'm not doing anything, I watch videos on YouTube, either news on video games or tutorials, or in very, very rare occasions, I'll fire up my PS4 or my Switch or whatever and play something for a little bit. But that happens very, very rarely.
What are the other games in the lewd industry that you like, that might have inspired you, or ones that you kind of watch from the sidelines, obviously besides your own, that you're kind of rooting for?
The ones that I really want to see, and I think they're going to achieve it. It's Cloud Meadow,
yep,
and Wildlife, because those two teams. I mean, there's a new one that recently got out. I think it's War Maidens or something.
Oh yeah, League of Maidens. Yep.
League of Maidens. Thank you. And I'm rooting for those guys because the quality that they have, it's the same that we're trying to achieve. Like, we can have a really nice, adult video game. It doesn't have to look like someone did on its backyard or whatever. Like, show that you care to others by caring for what you're doing, your work. And those three projects so far, the only ones that I know of, really show the love and effort. And yeah, I want to see those being completed.
What would you say would be the advice that you would give to someone if they wanted to go out there and make their own lewd game?
There is really no key or magic wand or shortcut. If you want to do something, just go ahead and do it. Take the first step. If you don't know how to start, there's YouTube, there's Google. There's a sea of information. Literally at the palm of our hands. You don't have to wait for someone else to help you out, or for things to happen. You gotta make those things happen. If you have an idea, if you're like, yo, I like fighting games, I want to make one, then go ahead and make one. There's plenty of tutorials about how to do fighting games or how to do animation. Like, it's everything. It's there. You just have to take the first step and be serious about what you want to do and start doing it.
Are you enjoying seeing the growth in the lewd industry at the moment, seeing everybody sort of rise up?
Oh, I love it. Every time there's news on the major outlets, Kotaku and all that stuff, about the adult industry, paving its way on the video game market, it's amazing. It's awesome because it's a very good market. Honestly, I think ignoring it it's a very bad idea. I mean, if a AAA developer decides to do something like that, it will beat the fuck out of us. Like, there's no way we can compete against, say, something big like EA or whatever, or Blizzard. I don't know. It's I'm glad that they don't do it. Yeah, we will be in very, very bad trouble. But I'm very happy when another team that's doing, adult video games gets a spotlight, because it's kind of like making a statement, and it's people are accepting it. It's part of our lives. So
On a side note, before I get to the next part of this interview, have you ever thought about doing voiceover work? Because you've got a really good narrator voice.
No, I'm just too shy.
I feel like you're reading me a story, and I'm sitting here going, and I know, no homo or anything, but you have like a really well presented voice.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. So this little segment I like to do towards the end of the this little podcast that I do is called Dirty Development. And
all right.
What it is I've got a random word generator, and it spits out just random things. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to present to you 5 sets of random words, and what I want you to do is on the spot come up with a concept for a lewd video game.
Okay. I think I can come up with something. Okay.
The first one I have is exotic socks.
Okay, exotic socks. Well, there's a huge foot fetish, so it should be fairly easy. How about like a micromanagement game, where you have cam models, and the success of each cam model is based on the socks that it's wearing, either like a dick sleeve or maybe a simple sock. So the crazy and wackier the sock, the more money that cam model makes.
That is a fantastic idea. I love it. Oh my god. Oh my god, that was such a great answer. All right, the next one I have for you is fertile pancake.
Fertile pancake. How about something like Cooking Mama? You can have a lot of fun with ingredients like that. Again, have sort of micromanagement if you want, and build maybe like your own restaurant, keep it running.
Okay.
And you can have crazy stuff like the ingredients being something lewd, like cum or whatever, or if the patrons demands it. You can have the waiters, like fresh cum, or maybe have, if it's a female waiter, maybe the patron wants fresh milk or whatever.
Yeah, I like that a lot, and that's what I was thinking, because it's going to be nothing but messy when you involve food. The next one I've got is banana hammer.
That sounds painful.
It does, actually. Now that I think about it, now that you've said it.
Banana hammer. I can only think of the whack-a-mole game. And just hammer something with that shit. I don't know.
Oh my god. I could imagine it's being one of those old Flash games from 1998 where you know how you would get an email sent to you, like your parents would get sent a dirty email game, and in that game it's like whacking penises with a hammer.
Oh shit! No, yeah. or no, use the dig as hammer. I don't know. I mean, either way, it's gonna hurt.
Husky cream.
How about a racing game with how do you call those things that people use in very cold places, like
like sleds.
Like a sled, yeah, and it's about a racing game. That you have to reach the goal to fuck someone or whatever, kind of like a 911, but they need a fuck like immediately. It's like life or death thing.
I like that, because then the girls can wear some really cute winter outfits while they're sledding.
Yeah, and it's like, I don't know, their boiler messed up, they don't have heat or whatever, and yo, they call you and I need to fuck right now or I'm gonna die. I need heat.
I love it.
So what's that?
That is brilliant. Okay, the last one I have for you is Boat's Desire.
Boats, desire. The only thing I can think right now for that, it's maybe like a survival kind of visual novel kind of thing.
Okay.
Let's say you're like the owner of a yacht, and for some reason you're making a party with a lot of beautiful people, and the yacht just fucks up, and you're in the middle of nowhere or on a deserted island or whatever. You make the yacht as like that last piece of paradise. And it's like anything goes. Like, we're fucked, so might as well enjoy ourselves while we wait for
That sounds like a typical porno. Like, well, we're stuck here. Why don't we just fuck? Thank you for playing that little game with me. I find that it's really interesting to hear every developer basically try to crunch down ideas with random words. I've even had a couple of developers after I finished the podcast, and they're like, "You gonna use that?" And I'm like, "Why?" And they're like, "Well, that could be a game." Oh, okay. Where can people find you, find the game, find your work, how they can support you? Where can they go?
They can go into my Patreon, and Twitter. I'm not a social media kind of guy.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, it's pretty easy. You can find me on Twitter, /Taboo_Licious. That's Twitter. And Almastriga, that's patreon.com/Taboolicious.
Thank you so much for taking the time to have this interview. I know that you're under the pump, as they say, to get a lot of work done.
No, I didn't. I did all the work I could before this, so I legit have nothing else to do. Because I didn't know how much this was going to take, so I make sure like, okay, let's have nothing else to do today. So,
well, thank you very much, and the game is looking amazing.
Thank you.
And to everyone that's listening, I hope you enjoyed this episode of Shady Corner Lewdcast, and we will see you on the next one.